Hey guys, welcome to Mega Maniacs. As you can see, this is a live broadcast tonight, and we have been battling some illnesses over here in our household. So, my youngest son was sick first, and then I got it slightly, and then my oldest son just got it. So, I am disappointed to tell you that oh, and I just got some lipstick or something on my computer, but that the episode that I had planned, it's completed, but unfortunately, when I started uploading some of the videos onto StreamYard, unfortunately, I was going to have to convert a lot of those, and I just simply ran out of time. So I am just going live tonight. So tonight's probably going to be a shorter version of Mega Maniacs. I want to say hi to everyone that's in the chat right now and tuning in. Kenneth, Marianne, Kimberly, Laura, Jim, and Bernadine. And so tonight's going to be just a little bit different formatting because I don't have the episode to show you, but we're also working on a special, and that's Everett and I are working on a special, and it's a follow-up to the interview that he did with Garrett May. And we have a few things to finish up, some finishing touches, and then I will be ready to present those, I believe, on Tuesday at the regular Mega Maniacs podcast time at 7 o'clock. So tonight I can talk a little bit about that, but I'm really going to just be looking at the chat, and if you guys have any questions, need any, or want any updates, and just actually ask if there's anything that we haven't covered on Mega Maniacs that you'd like to hear about. So I've had people reach out to me and say things like, "Can you interview or talk about maybe some families that have been impacted or sort of torn apart by World Harvest Church or even some of these other mega ministries?" And I think that that's definitely a noteworthy topic. I think that we've kind of heard some of that already from some of the guests that talk about, their children disconnecting from them. They end up getting divorced from their spouses, things of that nature. So I think that's one topic. And Jim said the interview with Garrett was phenomenal, and I absolutely agree. And it's unfortunate that we have to even talk about stuff like this, but the special that we're going to be presenting on next Tuesday, which I believe is February 4th, is going to show, unfortunately, more of the same of the situations that Garrett talked about in his interview. So, other assistants, other staff members, some are housekeepers, some have known the Pursleys for a very long time. They are also going to talk about their experiences. And the episode is called Naked Narcissists. And it continues to expound upon these situations of Rod and Ashton specifically being naked in front of staff members and expecting them to just take it and not have any issue with being in the presence of their bosses, their pastors, and people that they're working for being completely nude, but then trying to carry on conversations with them at the same time. So it's very bizarre. Um, it's just wild. So I'm just the looking at the chat. So Mockingbird, let's see, says, Robin, if you're able to share, what's the status of your lawsuit with World Harvest Church? Well, I can say this, that it does appear that we're sort of working towards a resolution. I won't be able to share any of those details, but it appears that we're working towards that. So I want to say I appreciate so many of you that have not only supported us as a collective group, but that have given to the GoFundMe, have given in the ways that I have listed on the podcast to help us fight this lawsuit. And you guys have just been incredible with that. And I also want to say I have actually a little bit of a praise report. I heard from Jason Rembert's wife today, Rachel. They are the Moments of Truth podcast, and he was involved in that terrible fire. And he had to have a second surgery, but he was released from the hospital today, and he is happy to be going home to continue to recover. So hopefully he is done with having surgeries and can just focus on recovery. His GoFundMe is still up, and I will post that in the description when this is over with. So if you want to give, I encourage you to give to Brother Jason and his family during this time of recovery, and just continue to keep him in prayer. Let's see. So Tim, I keep forgetting that I have some of these new capabilities. Um, so hi Tim, said talk about the connection between Clyde's behavior and Rod's behavior. Well, this is going to be something that is in the special of the Naked Narcissist that Everett and I are working on. But we showed not too long ago that in the early 90s, Clyde was actually sued by Naomi Endicott, who was a family member, for sexual harassment. And in the article that I showed, some of the comments that he was making to her were very, very lewd. And so not only was it ridiculous that she had to undergo or had to be in the presence of that kind of behavior, but he's also a family member and the father of the pastor and her boss. But there are people that have spoken to me, and we're going to speak about this in the special, that have seen Clyde naked as well. And when Clyde realized that this person or people have seen him naked, and they were trying to turn their head or trying to turn away from what they were seeing, he just got the biggest kick out of that and thought it was hilarious that they were mortified that they were seeing him naked. And that behavior, based on the 7 or 8 people that I have spoken to that have not, and that's in addition to what Garrett said, so not even including Garrett's testimony, that this is regular behavior for this family. And it's so strange and bizarre that not only they walk around naked, but they do it in front of each other, and they do it in front of staff members, and seem to have absolutely no shame in doing so. And in fact, thinks that it's hilarious and get a kick out of it that you are uncomfortable with the situation. And maybe I just don't get it because I don't think like these people, but this is at the very least sexual harassment. But it goes beyond that, in my opinion, because it's abusive. It's an abuse of power. It's to say that you need to be submissive, you need to fall in line, and I can do whatever I want and you can't do anything about it. And of course, that's my take on the situation. And Jim said, "Do you dare sign an NDA?" Uh, Marcus Hunter says, "Oh, they want us to now." So Marcus, it's not actually World Harvest Church proper that is suing us. It's another church. But like I said, we're working towards reconciliation at this point. Terrence said, "Did anyone witness Rodney smoking?" I feel like I have heard that from at least one person, Terrence, but I am I don't want to say with absolute positivity without going back and having some backup for that. We know that Clyde was, a heavy smoker, but I don't want to say I don't want to say yes and not have backup for it. So let's see here. I am looking at this. So Kimberly says, "I was shocked when Garrett shared Ashton in the bathroom while her dad was taking a bath." Yeah, that's very, very strange and bizarre, like I said. But that's the thing, is that when you think that you've heard it all, and then you find out that there's still more to be heard, it makes me feel like that, we're coming up on a year of doing the podcast, which is so shocking in the first place. So in March it will be a year that I've been doing Mega Maniacs. And to be honest, I didn't really expect it to last this long. I thought that I would be talking about an abusive, toxic workplace and talk about my experiences. I never really knew that there was going to be anybody that even wanted to share their own experiences and be interviewed. And so that kind of turned into the second season. But as we continue to talk to people and find out that there is more going on than we ever had thought about, that makes me think that the podcast might be going on longer than we thought. But that's the other reason of asking you, and feel free to put it in the chat or email me. My email is megamaniacs777@gmail.com. About things that you might want to hear about, or that you feel we haven't covered, or that we haven't discussed, or that might be helpful or a blessing to other people. But I never knew that talking about an abusive, toxic workplace that I worked at for almost 4 years would turn into talking about child sex abuse being covered up, that there would be some human trafficking involved, and um, the sex abuse in general, that we would be talking to people that were working for the Parsleys and had to endure watching them walk around naked. I mean, that's that's just enough to make your head spin, in my opinion. So I think that we unfortunately will continue down this road, because I think there is more to find out. I think that there are people that have not spoken yet that may have even crazier, more bizarre stories to share. But you also have to think, if this happened to one person, then it likely happened to more people. And people are either scared to speak out until they hear someone else speaking about it, or they truly think that something is wrong with them, that maybe they blew things out of proportion, or they were not honoring the Parsleys the way that they should be, or they were out of God's graces because they didn't serve this man and his family. So there's a lot of hurt people out here that are going to be healed, blessed, delivered, vindicated by people that choose to share their stories. And I appreciate the people that are reaching out and just want to share, even if it's an off the record conversation. A lot of times that gives us more insight to other things that we need to be investigating. And that's the case for the episode with Everett, the naked and not ashamed, and then the naked narcissist that's coming up from Megamaniacs. So I I'm I hate that we have to report on stuff like this, but I'm grateful that people are speaking out. Um, Mr. Who, how are you, Mr. Who? Hey, Robin, after doing some research, I've learned that states of undress are rituals in Freemasonry. Well, Mr. Who, I actually watched your episode that you posted today in response to the Ohio for Freedom episode with Garrett, and I I was shocked by some of the things that you were talking about, but also know that, when you look into the Freemasonry, and even when you look into the stuff that's happening in Hollywood and with Diddy and with Jay-Z and all of these people that are being accused of not only this very bizarre behavior, but the human trafficking and the rapes and the underage kids, and trying to they're happy when they're in possession over people and control over people, and believe that people will do anything for money. And unfortunately, I know that that is a mindset with Rod, at least with women. And, when you're dealing with people that have an endless supply of money, and they have all this fame and fortune and power, then you're fighting a very big beast in that. And to be the only one speaking up can be a very scary thing. And again, I'm just grateful for the people that have said enough is enough, and we are not going to continue to allow this stuff to happen and not speak on it and not say anything about it. And if it would help one person, that is worth it to speak out, because there are so many cover-ups just with World Harvest Church alone and the Parsley family. That would be enough for us to cover for the next couple of months. And I actually, the episode that I had prepared for tonight, um it was about last night's sermon from Rod, and I don't usually tune in, but people again were sending me clips, and I am sort of interested how they respond to some of these things. And for Rod not to be there last Wednesday or on Sunday, which I know that he did cancel preaching Sunday at the last minute, so it wasn't something that was planned, that he was more than likely bothered by Ohio for Freedom and Everett and the Garrett interview. But I was interested to see how they responded to that. And the things that were being said were super bizarre, and I still am going to cover that. But because it's done, I just have to get all of the videos so that I can upload them. So hi, Tina. Um, Tina said, someday, on a lighter note, Randy and I would love to hear how you came up with the name Mega Maniacs. Well, I can tell you right now, it sort of was a morphing of a few things, but obviously we're talking about a mega ministry. And when you hear the audio clips and you see the video clips, and when you've worked there kind of behind the scenes like I have, you know that these people act like maniacs. But there's also a term that is called megalomaniac, and it is a diagnosis for someone that is very narcissistic, that has a God complex, and tries to put others down to make themselves feel better. And it's a long list of things, Tina. So that was actually how I came up with that name of Megamaniacs. Um, mm, let's see. Yeah. Okay. Jim said he was going to preach naked, but had to call it off because the jig was up. That's hilarious, Jim. But at this point, I don't know if anything could shock us. Everything is shocking and nothing is shocking. But I think this was probably one of the most bizarre things that we've uncovered. And again, to have at least 8 people in addition to Garrett talk about these situations. I started hearing about these situations probably 6 or 7 months ago. And I knew that people were telling the truth, but it was so bizarre that, they're doing what? They're walking around naked in front of staff members and even at the church, like in the green rooms where they're trying to get ready for service or after service. They're laying down and you know completely naked and like spread eagle on the ground. I mean, you guys are going to hear and see it when we get finished with this special that Everett and I are working on for Tuesday. But it's the most bizarre thing that I have ever heard of. And someone's home. That's why my dogs are barking. Um, and Terrence said, saying he got 2 for 1 on salary is more sickening to me than anything. Yeah. Well, that's another thing, another topic that I feel like we are definitely going to discuss is the financial transparency and the fact that there absolutely is none. And we know that there are situations, and I am working on again more to show on this, but even when you look at the different ministries underneath World Harvest Church that you can donate to, speaking of Bridge of Hope in Sudan and the women's clinic and some of these other places, in very, very small print underneath, it says something to the effect of the money that you donate to that organization can be allocated however World Harvest Church decides it to be allocated. And I'm going to find out more on that, but I know that if I'm donating to the women's clinic or I'm donating to Sudan, that I would expect that the monies are going there. And we definitely have some new information about the Sudan ministries that we're going to share as well. Let's see. Tina said, does anyone know if the numbers at Valor are down due to all this mess? Tina, I believe the numbers are down, not only in person, but also online. But I do have the 990s for the last 5 or 6 years for Valor. And shockingly, the years where they're losing students, and not just a couple of students, but losing a decent amount of students, 50, 60 students, the numbers continue to go up, which as far as the revenue that they're bringing in, which, is sort of odd. You wonder where that's coming from. So there is going to be some episodes on that. But again, it's about doing the due diligence to get as much information as possible before we just start presenting things and making assumptions about things. That's not what we are interested in doing. We're interested in presenting factual information and not misleading anyone. And so, that does take time when you are looking at years and years of financial records that you can get your hands on. Of course, there are no 990s for Harvest Prep or for World Harvest Church because they don't have to provide those. They do refuse to provide anything to the congregation or people that give money to World Harvest Church for financial transparency, to show them where the money is being spent. And we do know, there are some pretty hefty salaries being made at World Harvest by the upper echelon leadership, while everyone else is expected to take massive pay cuts to, do their work unto the Lord. So it's just an unfortunate situation, but there's more to that. Let's see. Michael said, can you put in your chat your text address so I can ask a couple of questions about another local mega church with ASA going on? Okay. Hey, Michael. Yeah, I'm going to put it in the chat right now. This is my email address, and you can email me there, and I will be in touch with you. All right. And Annie, hi, Annie. She said your content has to hold up in a court of law if they continue to come at you. Absolutely. And again, we don't have to fabricate information. We don't have to make anything up or present information in a certain way. That has never been the intention. There is enough factual information and factual allegations by very reputable people. And again, not one person, not two people, but 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, the list goes on and on. And you've heard from so many people that have actually been on the podcast talking about their experiences and how, people are just discarded when they're of no use to the Parsleys anymore, or when they find out they can no longer be controlled or manipulated. And again, no concern for people in general about how are they doing, where are they going, are they are they okay spiritually, are they okay emotionally and physically? There's none of that. And there's a lot of things that are said, but there's nothing that is done, and people are just again left out on their own. Let's see. Kimberly said, is there any updates on the Deacon family? I don't have any, Kimberly. I hope they're doing well. Julie said, do you know, sorry, I didn't really mean to put that up there, but since it is, do you know what level Freemason Rob is? I don't. I think at this point, Julie, it's making correlations between the Parsleys and the Freemasonry. Now, these at this point, I guess can be considered allegations, but there are more similarities than not, as far as when you look at the rituals, you look at the symbolism, and then we continue to find out more things that are going on. But I will also say, me personally, I am asking anybody that is watching this or who ends up seeing this, that if you have been involved in these all male hunting trips with Rob Parsley, I would like to hear from you. I have reached out to one person that when I worked there, he was the assistant to Rod, and he went on a hunting trip with him and some other guys. And when he came back, he quit immediately. And I also know that Everett has spoken, Everett, Ohio for Freedom. He has spoken to a gentleman that said that he went on one of these hunting trips, I believe back in the 90s, and that he was going to go to his grave with what he experienced and what he saw. and he couldn't even repeat it to Everett. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on at the hunting trips, or what did go on at the hunting trips, but I would like to speak with someone that was there that maybe can give some more insight what that looks like. Um, let's see. Lisa said I'm late. I might have to rewatch. Lisa, well, I am just talking tonight and kind of asking some questions. You'll see earlier in the live that I had an episode prepared, but when I started downloading the videos, that I realized they were in the wrong format for StreamYard, so it's just going to take a little bit longer. Let's see. Oh, Julie said, "Oh, those Freemason hunting trips are horrific." Well, I've seen some things, just things that I've watched on documentaries when it comes to Freemasonry, the Illuminati, some of these secret societies. And you're right. These there are rituals that go along with the nakedness. There's rituals that go along with the hunting, including sacrifices, including sometimes hunting human beings. I mean, it's weird and strange, and I am not implying that that's what's happening with Rod. But again, my experience with the two people that have been on these hunting trips is one quit right after they went, and the other one won't speak about it, but said it was horrific. Yeah, the Bohemian Grove, that's actually, Annie, one of the exact documentaries that I'm talking about when it comes to um, the secret societies. Um, Sasha, thank you for exposing this. Yeah. Yeah, there's just a lot of oddities and bizarre, but it's not just oddities and bizarre behavior. It's sick, it's disgusting, it's demented, it's wicked, it's evil, it's a lot of things. And then when you think about, finding out that kids are being essayed and it's being covered up, and nobody is protecting the victims and looking out for the victims. They're only looking out for their reputation and for themselves and their money. You know, what are we doing? I mean, we have to protect children. If we don't protect children, what are we doing? If you can hurt a child, you are capable of doing anything, in my opinion. And I have so many thoughts on that subject alone, but I don't want to go down a rabbit hole. Um, let's see. Yeah, yeah, Sasha. Um, so I'm probably I'm just keeping an eye on the chat for right now. But again, please, and please put something in the chat, or please email me. Um, Teresa said, "Where are the wives?" Well, you know, the wives. Well, most of the wives are, they kind of all follow the same model. When you're, at least in my experience, I can't speak about these other ministries, but I can tell you the wives that I am familiar with dealing with. And Don Don said they're shopping. Annie, that's exactly what I was going to say. They're like Stepford wives. So I don't know if maybe they have conversations in private, but in public, they are very submissive. They are very meek and quiet, and you rarely see or hear anything from them. And I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. I have I decided a while ago that I was not really going to report on Joni Parsley. because I do have some compassion, and I believe that she is just as abused, if not more abused than the people that we've spoken to. Now, it's that's sort of a gray area and slippery slope, but it's I just, because of the compassion, have decided that I wasn't really going to speak on her. And so the wives, again, when you look at their countenance and you look at their personalities, they are all very submissive and meek, and um they just kind of stay out of the limelight, and they stand behind their husbands, and their husbands are their authority, and they that's just how they behave. um let's see. All right. Annie said, would not be surprised if some spell or hypnosis is placed over the wives so they do not remember or know much. Very, very controlled. Yeah, I mean, listen, again, there wouldn't be much that I would be shocked by at this point, but I mean, obviously the spiritual abuse and all of that is just rampant in that place. And the wives are obviously subjected to that as well. And you know if they want to continue their lifestyles, they can't really say too much, I would suspect. So um let's see. All right. I Okay, guys. Well, I'm just trying to take another look at the chat, but um and Casey creates this. I think this is probably a good way to end this episode. Said, I'm so sad this behavior can go on. It has to be demonic. Keep praying and bringing truth to light. Yeah, absolutely. It is sad. It's disgusting, and it's appalling that anybody has to endure things like this. But again, there's so many families and children and marriages and households that are destroyed by this place. And it's not hard for us to see why, now that we're talking about it and we're hearing from more people. you know, how can this stuff affect so many people? And it's because it's ultimate power that goes completely unchecked, and there's no accountability. And again, it's seemingly without even adding in the Freemasonry piece, which I think there's a lot more to that than we've even uncovered as well. But the way that they behave and the way that they treat people is just absolutely appalling and disgusting. And you can't imagine this going on, but especially in a church, and leading people astray, and just again destroying families and careers, and children's relationship with their parents and spouses, and the list goes on and on. So okay, guys. Well, I appreciate you. Oh, Alan said, Interesting. This is Spiritual Abuse Awareness Month." Wow, I had no idea. Well, I guess we are talking about the right things in January and in every other month of the year, because this stuff needs to stop. So thank you guys for tuning in. And I'm sorry that the what I had planned is not ready, but it will be ready soon enough. And again, thank you so much for your support and your prayers. And continue to keep us in prayer. Continue to keep Brother Jason and Everett and Garrett and his family, and all the people that have been on the podcast and courageous enough to speak up. And keep the Parsleys and the Amoses and the Ramirezes and all these other families that um, that we're talking about, keep them in prayer as well. So thank you guys. Have a great night.